All right, I'm with Bill Whatcott here, and I just wanted to get an update from him on his trial. He's, of course, on trial, charged with a hate crime for passing out some literature that simply shares the physical and spiritual dangers of living a homosexual lifestyle, presents the gospel of Jesus Christ, and he was passing those out back in 2016, I believe it was, at on a public street that had a gay pride parade going on in Toronto. And years later now, he's facing a hate crime charge for that. And this is a very important trial, of course, because it's going to impact churches, Christians, freedom of speech lovers all across this country. But I just wanted to get an update from Bill. So Bill, can you tell us how are things going?
Well, we've had 2 days in court so far. The first day they video played my interview with the police, and I thought, if anything, it really articulated that this is more of a speech issue than a hate issue. That was my own perspective looking at it, the police interview before they flew me to Toronto from Calgary. That's where I was arrested. They put out a Canada-wide arrest warrant for this, which normally is reserved for murder and bank robbery, so that really doesn't even make sense for a flyer that offended homosexuals 3 years after the fact at that point. Then the second day was this medical expert, Dr. Lutfi. She certainly is well-educated, well-credentialed. She does have a practice by her own account of patients suffering from HIV. She might want to use the politically correct term living with HIV. And anyways, I'm learning a bit listening to her. I guess AIDS medications today versus when I was a nurse do prolong life. That still doesn't convince me that the homosexual lifestyle is safe and without consequences. I still think her own testimony tells you that unbridled sexuality is a bad idea, as you might not die as early as before, but you'll be taking these medications for the rest of your life, and there is still the risk of mortality. Even if it is later in life, you're still not living a full life by any means. But anyways, they're trying to make the case that because some of my facts are a little outdated, that it's all deceptive and nothing but hate. So we'll see how the trial plays out. We just have to trust God, and we'll take it from there. I'm back tomorrow, and tomorrow my counsel will be cross-examining this woman. She was pretty weak on anatomy, and I wonder if it's her own ideology hindering her from just admitting what is. I had a picture of anal warts on my flyer, and she's trying to say that that's a vulva and genital warts, which really undermines her own credibility quite a bit. But we'll see how the trial plays out. Great.
And how's your lawyer doing? Is he doing a good job for you, do you feel?
Oh, I think so. He is known as the best defense lawyer in Canada, and I don't think that's hyperbole. He's a very intelligent and skillful litigator. His name is John Rosen. He's worked for the Italian Mafia and also represented Paul Bernardo, and I think Wikipedia said he has run more criminal trials than any other lawyer in Canada, bar none. So on that sense, I think God has blessed me, because I certainly couldn't afford a guy like him, and he doesn't necessarily share all of my views, but he took the case for a fraction of the cost, and Legal Aid is largely covering it, so I gotta be grateful. I don't think this guy would take a Legal Aid case unless there was an altruistic motive or something like that.
Right. Yeah, that's really amazing, and
yeah,
I'm certainly glad to hear that he's on the case for you, on your side. How do you think this is going to go? What are you hopeful, or what are you thinking?
I'd like to go back to Alberta. I'm not looking. The Crown is asking for 18 months in jail for this flyer, which, when I see the sentencing of some of the actual criminals, One guy, when I was waiting for my case, was getting sentenced by the same judge and same prosecutor. It was just, he could be done quickly because he pled guilty, so they wanted to get him done before my thing, because my thing takes all day. Of course, I'm not pleading guilty. But this guy pled guilty to stealing a $145,000 car, and the joint submission was 2 years probation. And even though the guy looked young, able-bodied, he was educated, he did have a university degree, he claimed that he couldn't afford any restitution, and so they just gave him 100 hours community service and let him go home. And for chop shopping, because they never did recover the Mercedes, it was a Mercedes, for chop shopping that car and selling it, I think the guy made a great profit.
Right.
So, that undermines your faith in real justice. But for me, I guess flyers at a homosexual parade 5 years ago is much more serious. So even though the Crown was cool with 2 years probation and not really holding the guy accountable for his crime, they're looking for 18 months in jail for me. I do believe Canada's that's an apt term. Canada's courts are corrupt. They're ideologically driven rather than an impartial pursuit for justice. So I'm not terribly optimistic.
Okay.
I hope I'm wrong.
Yeah, I hope you're wrong too.
Yeah.
And I hope God will use this particular situation to bring some light to bear on the situation here in Canada in terms of the terrible free speech limits and restrictions that exist, especially for Christians. Anyone who is speaking the truth in love is going to face all kinds of persecution or trouble these days. So I just hope it'll be brought to light.
Well, we do have to be mindful, even in times of darkness, and I perceive this time to be somewhat dark. Still, God is greater, and He is a God who can bring the light to dark places.
And He does.
He does.
Well, thanks, Bill. I just wanted to take a moment and get that update, and just thank you for standing for all of us, because you're there in our place as a brother in Christ who's standing for free speech and for the gospel and for helping people really who need help.
My flyer was helpful.
So,
it had gospel. And it had truth.
It's giving them truth about their physical condition, their spiritual condition. It's helping them medically, in terms of...
It showed them a way out, too.
A way out medically and spiritually.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if you get slapped down, I mean, what's this going to do for the rest of us? So thank you for standing, Bill, and we're praying for you.
Thank you.
Thank you.